Round number 9 of the 2022 Area Truck Series season takes us to America's home for racing. Charlotte Motor Speedway, 1.5 mile progressively banked oval, D-shaped, that has been on the NASCAR schedule for quite some years. Tonight, it's the 9th round of the season. We had our Cup Series racing last night. Lots of good action there. Long race, but a fruitful one for some. Right at the tail end, though, Jake Nichols got his 6th win on the season. Fitting tonight, we bring the trucks to Charlotte and kick off another round of this year. And really excited to be here. This is a track that and truck combination that drives pretty well. And I think we're going to see some good action for 120 laps tonight. Pretty good points fight at the front. David Weishart and Ryan Hart separated by just 10 points at the pointy end of the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to see these guys get underway. We saw some fantastic racing last night in the Cup Series, and expect something pretty similar here tonight. Taking a look at the point standings heading into tonight. A lot of different winners in this series, 6 of which David Weishart and Beckner have 2 wins apiece. Hartz, Hurley, Skyley, and Bell 1 apiece. And again, a couple of names, still quite a few names that I'm surprised haven't found victory lane quite yet. Brad Slaughter Jr., Cameron Hearn, those 2 guys. Cameron Colin Fambro as well. All of those guys really quick, just quite haven't gotten that truck in victory lane. They're running out of chances, though, to lock themselves in.
Yeah, getting close to the playoff cutoff. And drivers like Garrett Grant, Shane Abbey, Eric Wineland have some work to do. We'll head down to the racetrack now, and practice is underway. Qualifying kicks off in just a couple of minutes. All night tonight, we'll have at the bottom of the screen a little reminder to donate to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. We've got a charity race this Friday. We're dirt tracking it this Friday night here on Sim TV, so make sure you join. We'll drop the link in the Twitch chat to donate if you would like to. We'll have this up all week long as we talk about benefiting the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention on behalf of the Area Series. Heading down to the racetrack now for practice at the top of the board. Driver that we've seen at the top of the board all season, Ryan Hartz. He's gotten a win so far this year. He's 2nd in the standings, though, to this guy, David Weishart in the 33. Strong run last night of the Cup Series, but just didn't quite get the finish he probably deserved. Finished out inside the top 3, but could have done 1 spot better, and he might try to do 1 spot better tonight.
Yeah, because he's been doing really well in the Truck Series as of late. In fact, 2 of his wins came from within the last 3 races, so he's been on a really solid run as of late. All 3 of his last finishes inside the top 10, so looking pretty quick here. Obviously 6 on the board here at Charlotte, so might be able to get 3 for 4 if he can do well enough.
Travis Beckner is 3rd in the standings, another 2-win season, including last time out at Bristol Dirt. An unlikely victory perhaps there. His other win came at Gateway. There he is in the Rick's Hot Sauce number 28 with that kind of melon throwback to Ross Chastain there in the 12th position at the time. And then down the rest of the field, Matt Bell in 4th in the standings, and then Brad Slaughter Jr., who runs 2nd here in practice. Nice looking Lumar livery on the 8. Nice, classy, and simple livery. Then Cody Cuthbert, Tommy Ryan, Justin Anasogak, the rest of the top 5 here in practice. Anasogak is one of those drivers that is on the edge of not only grip right now, but on the edge of the playoff picture.
And parking down the back straightaway here. Trying to look at some other guys that are pretty fast. Brad Slaughter Jr. in the number 8 machine, currently 2nd place on the time sheets. New paint scheme, I'm pretty sure. I haven't seen this red and orange look. Looking really nice.
I was just mentioning
really
that Lumar scheme down there on pit lane. And on the racetrack, looks the part. Just one of those simple liveries that looks believable, like you'd see it in the real world.
It's supposed to make me wonder if it was ran in the real world.
I don't recognize it.
Now that you say that.
Sponsor familiar. I don't recognize the actual livery, but either way, Slaughter running up against the high side. Interesting conversation when we talk about running the inside versus the outside. Last night, the bottom was the dominant lane in the Cup Series race, but these trucks will drive very differently. I think the Lodge Box Series cars on Thursday will be even more different, but can we expect to see some high lane tonight? With the reduced horsepower, you'd think maybe not, but a lot of drivers trying up high here in practice.
Yeah, I want to say with these trucks, again, out of the three National Series, I want to say the trucks are really the most dependent when it comes to momentum. The Cup Series cars have become a lot more dependent on them with the later Gen 6 packages and now the current Gen 7 next-gen car. But the trucks have always been very dependent on momentum, getting solid runs out of these corners. So I think we are going to see quite a few of these guys go up to the top side to play it out. We did see quite a few guys last night. You kind of stuck on the bottom. That was typically the place to be. You can get some stuff done on the top, but the bottom was very much the lane. I feel like you'll see a little bit more of a spread and difference in the field, as we're already seeing in practice, like you mentioned, just some more guys kind of experimenting, seeing which, and testing the waters for both lanes.
Cameron Hearn in the number 67, we've seen him be a factor plenty of times. 6th in the standings coming into tonight, and his season has been really hit or miss. 3 finishes outside of the top 20, but another 5 finishes all inside the top 10, including a 2nd at Gateway and a 3rd at Atlanta. So that 3rd at Atlanta and the 7th he had at Darlington, that tells me a bit more about how tonight's going to go for him than some of the other finishes. So he should be in for a pretty solid run, but only 9th in practice here. With practice concluding here in just a moment. 120 laps tonight, Finian. Not a super long race, not a super short one either, but I could expect to see a lot of green flag running tonight.
Yeah, definitely. For as aggressively as they were running last night, I was genuinely impressed in how few wrecks there were, considering how aggressive the racing was. We'll see how it plays out tonight. I want to say I expect something similar. So look at the 19 Ryan Swan, very sharp Hyper X paint scheme, currently running out there. See where he is on the board
right now. He's got the 56 of AJ Roderick tucked in right behind him. A couple drivers that didn't really get a fair shake last night. They're going to try to do a little bit better here in the Truck Series race on Tuesday. So practice is finished up here. We're going to head to qualifying in just a moment. For the time being, though, fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. For only $5 a month, you can watch all area broadcasts commercial-free. You can also use new Area iRacing emotes in the chat. You'll also earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise on twitch.tv/Area iRacing. That practice is complete. We'll head down to qualifying. And suspected last night that qualifying wouldn't be a huge deal, but Finian, track position was hard to come by. Easy to lose, but hard to gain, what we saw last night. But some of the drivers that did start deep in the field eventually did make their way to the front, so I wouldn't put a lot of stress on this. I also don't know how much control you're really going to have in a qualifying session at Charlotte and Truck, where you just don't have that much throttle to play with. You're going to be almost full throttle around here for the entire lap.
Yeah, pretty much. I think maybe a slight blip of the gas to just kind of get the truck to rotate a little bit more. But other than that, like you said, mostly pretty much on throttle, a lot of on throttle time for these guys. So the times up near the top should be pretty close. So make qualifying a bit interesting here. James Scaroli from the Northwest running out there in his number 7 Buckhecker truck, getting out there to start his qualifying run.
Just getting up to speed here, up through the gears. And let's just kind of watch the speeds on the bottom right here. And I bet we're going to see, again, the 2-lap tango that we've seen so far all week. First lap, you're going to use this as a momentum gain, and then lap 2, you're going to go full tilt here. But Scioli kicks things off. Green flag here in qualifying. Off into turn 1, and they're going to listen for the throttle to lift. Just the slightest little lift to get the truck to settle, and then right back to throttle.
We got to turn 2 onto the back straight away now, just rocketing down, and then really the big thing is really just the turn point, the time you turn in. You see the backfire there, a little bit of a lift up there as well, and just going to be running high because, as you mentioned, we talked about lap 1, the banker lap. Lap 2 is where all the marbles are on, and he's going to go flying across the line. 31 flat for the number 7, and we expect the times to be a lot lower than that.
So 31 flat for Scioli. A couple drivers have vaulted themselves a little bit higher up the order. Josh Taylor, first lap at a 30.556. That was also his first lap, so if we're expecting a big pickup on lap 2, maybe Scioli saved a little bit of tire for it, but it's all about keeping the tire temps low and keeping the truck geared up and tacked up here. Here comes Josh Taylor, but Scioli across the line, 30.553 goes to the top. Josh Taylor goes to a 581. He slows down. Jeffrey Wilson, one of the 5-wide sports trucks, jumps up to provisional pole. Cahill Holmes, Garrett Grant up to 3rd place at 30.555, and more tripping the timing and scoring this time through.
Yeah, Brad Sauter, next big name to come flying on through. Weishart, as he comes to the line, I think he's starting his lap.
Yeah, just starting flying
Looking
lap.
at the number 8, coming out of turn 4 hard. Almost hit the wall. Colin Farmer looking at him going off into turn 1.
Brad Slaughter jumps up to 7th.
I was surprised. He was really hauling on his lap. He was almost in the wall a few times, making up momentum on lap 1. Bit surprised to see him only up in 8th place. He might potentially drop here. I can see, we still got a lot of guys, half the field left to qualify. Weishart in the 33 coming across the line, complete lap number 1, 30.9. We expect that to drop.
Yeah, 30.926 on his opening lap. Ryan Hartz just came across the line, a 30.7 on his first, but lap 2, everyone kind of is hitting the same 30.55 wall.
Ooh, Cody Cutter came flying out of the corner, almost tagged the wall off at turn 4. His 25, he was looking pretty quick in practice and going to be very quick in qualifying, up on a pole.
30.489, first driver to break that 30.5 mark. Ryan Hartz.
Wow, you're gonna, if you can kind of take a replay look in just a section to see how close Cutter got to the wall as Hartz comes across the line.
Second place for Hartz. This is out of turn 4 we're talking?
Yeah, out of turn 4. This is hauling for that lap.
Oh, man. Very close.
Every inch of racetrack.
He went
and to think, if he tagged the wall too, that would have put him back in the field. So he's that close from disaster.
34.82 for Cameron Hearn. That'll put him on pole. Yes, it will.
Wow, by 0.07 of a second. Solid job for the 67.
Eric Wineland is not yet rolling. James Litzenberger, Jeff are getting up to speed here, but Cameron Hearn, I don't think we're going to see an improvement on this second lap. It's, again, as we've seen previously in different weeks of the season, it's either lap 1 or it's lap 2, and for Hearn, lap 1 is the money lap, but it puts him on provisional pole.
I will say he's glad that it's not real life and he has to take a backup car and get an EOL penalty.
Justin Anasoga, 30.616, moves him up a couple spots. And Travis Beckner getting up to speed now.
See where the 28 machine ends up at. But looking at Cameron Hearn, we were talking about him, a driver that probably should have won this season so far. A bit unexpected to see him not have that win, but we'll see if he can get it done. He was a previous winner here in Season 1, so we can see if he can get it done in Season 3. Beckner across the line to start his lap in the watermelon machine.
Down to the bottom of the racetrack, might be going for that first lap flyer. Right back in throttle down the back straightaway, a little tight out of 2. Ooh, touched it.
Oh.
That's going to cost him a lap.
Well, I was going to say, now he has to set up for a lap, too. Surprised to hit the wall in the straightaway. Usually you expect that if anything, you hit it on corner exit or corner entry, but for Beckner across the line, this lap should not count.
And it will not. And that's going to hurt him because he kind of threw all of his eggs in the first lap basket. 38.32. That did not count, and lap 2 will have to be faster. Otherwise, he's going to start tail of the field, which he got used to last night. I don't think he was thrilled about having to drive all the way through it.
No, it took him a lot of work to get near the front when it was all said and done. Beckner now working through out of turn 4, getting awfully close to the wall. Keeps it off it. At least we think he kept off it across the line. Only 17th.
Yeah, 593 is not going to get him high up the order. Not where he belongs. Paul Irvin starts a lap. Shane Abbey is already on one. We'll ride on board with the 12 here until he comes back around. Chris Seidenfeiden is just gearing up as well. The 12 right up against the rim here. And this is one of the drivers I think is prioritizing that second lap here with this high line run.
We talk about guys getting into the wall. Shane Abbey was flirting quite a bit with it last night, especially in that corner right there on the entry to 1.
He was more than flirting. He kissed it a couple of times, and I don't think she asked him back.
But Jordan Hurley coming out of turn 4 now in the 5 machine to complete his qualifying laps.
0.612 slower for Hurley. Oh, no, I lied. Faster. 0.612 jumps into 19th. Here comes Abbey. And 35.01. That's going to be a pretty solid lap. Should put him P3.
Wow,
it
Chris Seidenfeiden put in a really solid lap up to third in the 45 machine.
Abbey's time, not time I was looking at. Paul Irvin goes third.
Wow. So really solid laps towards the end of qualifying here.
I don't know if anybody else is going to do a whole lot better. Bryce Senesac could. Eric Wineland is on course. A few drivers that have the potential to drop the tires on the table here at the very tail end. Cameron Hearn, though, still your provisional pole sitter.
Matthew Bell, the number 9, up to 4th place.
A nice lap for Matt Bell. Seidenfeiden, good qualifying effort there. 5th place for him. Jeffrey Wilson, 7th. Championship runners kind of spread out a little bit. Scioli in 9th. Weishart in 6th. And Wineland just picking up the green flag. Really slow outlap.
Yeah.
Again, trying to maximize the tire temp for that second lap.
A little bit loose off of turn 2 there. But yeah, I was going to mention he's taking his sweet time, no real rush. I mean, he still has quite a bit of time left on the board to get a time in. He'll be one of the last few guys to put a time down. He's coming out of turn 4. Now he'll start his main lap. Also, Bryce Senexak crosses the line up to 15th in the 09 machine.
Really slow lap for Wineland on this first one. So will that slow lap 1, will that kind of swing back totally in his favor for lap 2, or is it going to be not worth the slow up there? I mean, again, how much can you gain by going slow?
Well, he's going to have to hope that it counts, because otherwise he's got a lot of work to do tonight. Currently sitting in 38th. Obviously, we expect him to gain up and move up the scoring pylon, but how much, we'll see. This goes flying across the line in the 21 machine.
Top 10, 35.42.
Not bad. That's pretty good.
8th place. And Bryce Senexak, he is done at a 16th quick. And I think that's it for everybody. Jacob Bell is not going to race tonight. James Coey is the last driver we're waiting on. He's not going to get a chance to qualify. It'll be a 39-truck field, assuming Coey starts this race. Big field also here, Finney, as we take another look at the point standings coming into the night. Not a small field by any stretch. So there's a lot of trucks, 20 rows, that are going to be duking it out here for our 9th race of the season. And especially the very pointy end has some new players, or not new players, but different players. Cody Cutler's in the mix. Seidenfeiden's in the top 5. Jeffrey Wilson, Jeff No, all in the top 10 that are ready to throw some hands and scrap it up here a little.
I was going to say there's a lot of guys, especially looking at these point standings, that could really probably use a win to lock themselves in. Paul Irvin sitting 18th. If he can get a win, be huge for his championship hopes. It'll throw him not only into the playoff picture, but lock himself in effectively to when the playoffs start. So I'm sure he's going to try to make the best of the eggs in his basket.
Popular term the last. Eggs in the basket.
Which is funny, right? Because we're in the completely opposite side of Easter.
Well, I bet you that you go to Walmart tomorrow and it'll all be Easter. That's the next holiday. Okay, maybe it'd be Valentine's.
Yeah, I was going to say Valentine's Day is the next one.
That'll be on sale before we hit Christmas.
Probably, with the way, I mean, they were waiting. They couldn't wait to sell stuff for Christmas.
I mean, everyone's already past all the Christmas stuff now, and now it's going to be frustrating because I have to go do Christmas shopping tomorrow because I hate myself. And so
you're going Christmas shopping now?
What do you mean? I was sick all last week, and then, you go to work, and then you come back.
I mean, you could have waited before last week, beginning of December.
And then you get shafted on all the deals that aren't any deals, And
so why didn't you shop on Black Friday?
Because they're not deals. It's an illusion. They mark everything up 24 hours before it starts, and they mark it down to make it look like it's a deal. But in reality, it's not a deal. You get a better deal when everyone's already bought that thing, and there's just a bunch of extras now, and they're trying to get through all the stock because no one buys TV for Valentine's Day. But then you go into the store, and they're like, can't ship it. All right, hey, we got a couple things to get through before we kick off the green flag here. Start your morning like we start our grid with Roasted Gems Coffee. Fans, be sure to visit Roasted Gems Coffee for some of the finest coffee from all over the world. Use discount code AREA iRacing for 10% off your order at roastedgems.com. I merged visit and roasted to the same word. That did not go very well.
That happens to me quite a few times.
Yes, time to roll through our starting lineup. Cameron Hearn in the 67 is your pole sitter in the Matco Tools Chevrolet. Cody Cutler is going to line up alongside him in an all Chevrolet front row.
Back in behind them in third place, Paul Swerven Irvin in the 48 machine next to Matthew Bell in the 9 truck in fourth place.
All Toyota, row 2. In row 3, it's another pair of Chevys. Chris Seidenfeiden in the 45, and David Weishart will roll off 6th in the number 33.
Back in 7th, Jeffrey Wilson in the 85 is going to be rolling off in 7th place. Eric Wineland in the 21 in 8th place.
9th place is Jeff Nose, number 55. James Scioli is in 10th in the number 7.
Cahill Holmes in the 41 is going to line up at 11. Danny Ware in the 00 in 12th place.
13th place will be Garrett Grant's number 46. Josh Taylor starts in 14th in the number 57.
Row number 8 in 15th, Colin Farrell in the 18, Bryson in second, the 09 in 16th.
17th place, Rafe Slate in the number 08. Brad Slaughter Jr. starts at 18th in the number 8.
Diamond Ryan's going to be rolling off in the 99 in 19th, Asia Roderick in the 56 in 20th.
21st place is Ryan Hart's number 3. Travis Beckner starts 22nd in the 28.
Bobby Tinn's going to be rolling off in the 66 in 23rd, Jordan Hurley in the 5 in 24th.
25th place, Justin Anasogak, and Jordan Martin starts alongside him in the number 11.
Michael Leip in the 26 machine. Ryan Swan next to him in the 19 in 28th.
Oh, I just skipped a row. Dang it. 29th place is going to be Carter Coop in the number 52, and Shane Abbey starts alongside him in 30th.
31st, James Litzenberger in the 95. Matthew Cochran in the 4 and 32nd.
33rd place, Tom Bourne's number 16. Tyler Hallman, the 42, starts 34th.
35th, Jeff Ryan in the 37. Logan Harmon in the 51 and 36th.
37th place, Lath Hicks in the number 53. Justin Munsell will start alongside him. And behind them, Jacob Bell, Christopher Tate, and James Coey make up your 41 truck field. Time to go racing 120 laps, the 9th round of the 2022 Area Truck Series season. We're going trucking from Charlotte, America's home for racing. Green flag flies, and we're green from Charlotte. Oh, crashed the back, and already the 16 goes around, and caution immediately out before we get to turn number 1, the 53 of Hicks, also backwards. All right, we'll try that
did
again.
not take long.
It didn't. Getting an early look here at a Simrat Market replay. 16 of Bourne, I think, is the one that loops it here. Big gap, the little stack up here.
Yeah,
he gets hit from the I thought he spun his tires, but it wasn't actually his fault. He got clipped because of the stack up back here.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought the stack up did involve him, but he technically didn't. The 16 was fine. He just got, who was that? I think Hallman that got into the back of Cochran?
No, the 51 got in the back of Hallman first, and then he got into Cochran, and then that turned the 16, which turned the 53.
The Constantine effect.
Logan Hartman. Yeah, just throttling up too early there. Big chain reaction. It took out a couple of trucks.
Yeah, I was going to say, luckily for the most part, it should be relatively low speed impacts because they were just getting up to speed. I'm trying to look.
I think Bourne, the driver that got the worst of that, I think, would have been Matthew Cochran. And his truck, yeah, he's got some damage.
Oh, yeah, to the nose. That's going to be the worst because he got it to the nose. At least with Tom Bourne, his is more to the rear end of that car, so he should be good. And he actually scratched. He just has some damage to the left front, the 16, and the right front.
Not a good way to start, though.
No siree.
If this race were to go green from here, be about 1 hour from flag to flag. Quick look at our weather information. Another day race here at Charlotte. Track temp still under 90. Which is nice because this place can get pretty toasty and pretty slippery. My experience driving the stock cars lately, and I'm not sure if any of you have been behind the wheel of them at all in the last couple
surprised
weeks.
you've been behind the wheel of them.
I mean, I've been behind the wheel to take the thumbnails. But my initial reaction is all of the stock cars stink right now with low speed mechanical grip. I mean, 5% throttle is spinning tires on these. These things have huge slicks on them. I don't care if they're cold. I mean, 5% throttle, spinning tires out of control. It just blows my mind that is. I don't believe a NASCAR truck is that slippery at 15 miles an hour.
You never know. No, I agree. I think it's pretty horrible. I think iRacing's always kind of struggled with that sort of thing where it's a little too touchy. They're a little bit too temperamental when you get on the gas. Because like you said, they got huge slicks. These things weigh a ton.
Yeah.
Quite literally. So, it takes a lot to spin them out. And when you're just getting accelerated, like you said, it should not be that twitchy when you get on the gas pedal. And we saw last night, too, that brought out quite a few incidents with guys getting a little twitchy on the gas, getting back going. And I'm curious to see if we'll see anything like that coming to the restart here.
Yeah, we also, with the next gens last night, we didn't really, that's not something we saw in the real world. We didn't see drivers getting super twitchy. Those cars, they got wider and bigger tires, and they have very stiff suspension, so it's not like they're throwing weight around everywhere. They're pretty well balanced cars. I can't, at speed they feel okay, but like at low speed when you're just putting around, it just feels very weird. And I sympathize with, I mean, the start was caused by some inadequate spacing and drivers that were kind of gearing up and trying to get a launch, but it's tricky to recover from that once you start getting the tires spinning.
And then all you need is just someone to come in behind and give you a little bit of a tap, and you're finished off.
Yep. The reason we got one extra lap here on the pace lap because Bourne was 4 a lap down, so it extends our caution sequence.
I say Justin Munsell looks like. Actually, a few guys look like they might be almost a lap down. Justin Munsell, James Coey, Christopher Tate, Jacob Bell.
Yeah, it's kind of, they got caught in a weird spot, I think, because of when the caution happened, where the pace car picked them up. They're not a lap down. They shouldn't be.
I was going to say maybe because they didn't cross the line.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, is the caution came out right before the start-finish line, so the pace car picked him up in a weird spot. This will be our 1 to green, and we should get the wave around. And there they go. So we'll try this again. This race is now 115 laps. Everyone that started is still rolling, albeit with a little bit of damage to the 4 and the 16 mostly.
Yeah, Tom Morton's also in a predicament where he's got to make up one of those laps, make up an extra lap after having to pit for repairs, so he's got some work cut out for him.
I think he's still only 1 lap down, right? So he should be okay. Yeah. He just can't go another lap down or let anyone else get lapped before he gets an opportunity to take the free pass. You never want to get that second lap down because then it just gets hard, right?
No, then you get put in a real big hole because then if someone gets put a lap down, they have to wait for them to get the caution and then the free pass, and you just kind of have to hope and pray that you get caught in the right scenario. It is really tough to come from 2. 1, as you mentioned, not so tough, but you'll see. It depends really if we do get a long green flag run, which we'll see here as you're going to essentially come to the actual start of this race.
All right, we'll try this again. Cameron Hearn on the inside, Cody Cutler on the outside, then Swerve and Irvin, Matt Bell, David Weishart, Chris Seiden fighting the rest of your top 3 rows. Wineland and Wilson, Scioli and No sharing the rest of the top 10. Time to start this race for real. 115 laps left to go out of 120. Late restart there from Cameron Hearn, but we're clean and green through the initial start zone that time. And more trucks in the dirt in the background, guys.
Yeah, I think you're just starting to see, like you said, I think a lot of guys are struggling to get up to speed, and some checkups as well playing a big factor. Namely, and we saw that Hurley, or sorry, not Hurley, the 25 Cutler got a really poor time getting up to speed side by side with Irvin heading off into turn 3.
Through 3 and 4 here, lap 1, well, 6. Cameron Hearn leads the way here. Cutler, Irvin, Matthew Bell. Good battle for second here, though. Swerve and Irvin's got the inside. Now we'll see what line is the best one early. Looks like the outside might be kind of coming alive here early in this race.
There's a Cutler truck yawing out a little bit loose, not quite the level of grip that he needs up there. But as you mentioned, able to carry a decent amount of speed. Now he'll go to the inside of the 67 of Hearn, try to fight for that lead.
Took a really good run off into turn 3, nose to nose with Cameron Hearn now. Carry that momentum and drop to the bottom, and he's going to take it and lead that lap just by a nose.
Yeah, just by a nose. In fact, 6,000ths of a second exactly at the line, as he will just now clear the 67 and clear for the lead of this race. Matthew Bell, though, also still trying to make a charge, trying to prevent the 67 from cutting him off. He will be unsuccessful in that, and Cameron Hearn will slot himself in a second. Now back to the inside almost.
Man, that was tight. And here comes the question now, is once you get out of this side-by-side, when runs come real big, you've got to start figuring out what lane is the momentum going to come from, and where are you going to take it? Because the momentum's always going to come from the outside, but do you take that to the outside in 3 and 4, or do you take it to the bottom? Hearn's trying the inside here, and it's kind of working. We'll see if he can finish the job.
Yeah, it's a bit all right, but not quite there where he needs it at the moment on that inside lane. I think the outside definitely, if you want to make a pass, want to make a move, want to be there. Actually, now I say that, though, here comes Hearn trying to prove me wrong.
Well, again, we saw last night, I thought the outside lane would kind of come into its own and be the place to be. It just never was last night. It was a bottom-feeding race through and through. The outside you could defend, but you just couldn't really effectively play offense out there. And tonight we've seen Cutler take a big run on the outside lane, but he did the pass on the bottom, and now it seems like everyone's kind of falling in that same direction. You have to wonder, recent tire changes, have we kind of eliminated the multi-groove nature of this track that we all kind of expected coming in?
Wouldn't be too surprising. Let's see the way tire model changes can drastically affect how these things handle all across the racetrack and the racing surface, especially over the course of a run on the 25.
Yeah, Hearn had a big run going into one there and tried to take it to the outside and then kind of gave up on that strategy. Background, a couple trucks side by side. Colin Fambro is one of them, the 18 truck that is in the middle of your screen now. There he is, following Garrett Grant in the 46, Jeff Noe in the 55. One of the rare Ford F-150s in this pack.
Yeah, not too many of them in the field. In fact, other than Noe, let's see, Eric Wineland, and yeah, that's about it. Just them two running for the Blue Ovals.
It's a shame. I actually like the design of the new Ford. But
oh, it's a bit, it's all right. I feel like I like the old generation prior of that
Sure.
F-150. I don't know. Call me weird. You're weird.
behind him, Colin Fambro to the inside of, how about Rafe Slate, by the way, in the 08. He went upside down last night, and trouble for Michael Leip out of turn 4. He's in the dirt.
Oh, so far around the track.
Yeah,
well,
Leip, and then there was one other. I think it was AJ Roderick.
In the
Check out.
56, yes, both of them collided off of turn 4. You'll see right here.
Roderick gets a little, well, they just got together. Wow, good saves by both of them, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, Roderick, that was hard. He got turned straight back into traffic, did a great job saving it to prevent taking out other competitors. Unfortunately for him, he's going to be with a damaged truck and a bit off the pace.
Matthew Bell for second here into turn 1 on Cameron Hearn. Going to the bottom again.
Yeah, that 9 truck looking really racy out here tonight. And Paul Irvin as well. Also looking like he wants to join the party.
Had a pretty good night to start. Eric Wineland trying to move up the position on David Weishart. Both of those drivers have moved forward slightly from their starting positions. Weishart, though, a little further. I think he started back. No, I thought he started back the tail half of the top 10, but just 6th up to 5th for him. And here's Cahill Holmes in the 41 on the outside of the 3 of Ryan Hartz, who, if you look at the point standings this season, would tell you that he should be the driver running second place right now, but he's buried in 17th. Didn't have a very good qualifying run, and he's got traffic behind him as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's kind of surprising to see him mire back so far down the order, and as you mentioned, the traffic 2 by 2, they'll fall in behind, trying to see if they can find some way around this 3.
Jordan Hurley's got a big run coming from truck directly behind him, which I think is Tommy Rines 99. He was a big factor last night a couple of times.
And so they go. Looks like they're starting to sort themselves out just a little bit here. Mostly 2 by 2 battles. Haven't really seen any 3 wide shenanigans so far, though that definitely can change as the run goes on.
Weishart and Wineland, they've been side by side for about 3 or 4 laps at this stage. I mentioned last night you get tired of battling the same people over and over. You don't want to start lap 17 because you just end up battling the same guy all night. You are going to crash with him at some point. You just run out of patience. But Wineland does get the pass done and moves into 25th in the 21 truck.
There you see him now dive to the inside. Paul Irvin now caught on the outside lane just a little bit as he's the top 6 starting to slowly converge back on each other.
And for the lead, Matthew Bell is hounding Cody Cutrer into turn 1. All over him on corner entry, but it's not close enough to get some overlap on him.
Yeah, Bell with a previous win at Iowa, looking to see if he can get his second one of the season. Guy has to beat Cutterer to do that. Cutterer no wins so far this season for him, so this will be a big night for the 25. He can hold on, hang on, although it's still early days in this race.
Yeah, pit stops to contend with. We didn't ever see green flag stops last night. That could play a factor in this one. None of the drivers got the opportunity to practice them either when they didn't have them on Cup side.
Yeah, that night he's not letting up at all. He's relentlessly on the back of 25. That it almost makes me concerned when I see that as we look at the 21 45 of Wineland and Seidenfeiden duking it out for 4th place. I'm just concerned if Bell's pushing his truck a little bit too hard. I say that though, he goes down to the inside of the 25, looking off at a turn 1. We'll see that outside lane is still holding up. It looks like that inside lane is slightly better, at least from the 9 to Bell. He will clear the 25 off of turn 2.
He's got him. If Cutler goes back to the inside, he will. He's going to fight this. Isn't willing to just sit in line and be content with second. He wants to battle back for the lead. Now, will Matthew Bell be able to hang on to the upper group? I kind of concur with your fear there, maybe, is the 9 or the 25 using too much tire. Last night, it was critical that you didn't push too hard or you burn your stuff up. We saw a couple drivers try to take their battle straight to Jake Nichols and just burn their stuff up and crash. Cameron Hearn gets drilled in the fence by the 25. And his race is going to grind to a halt here, and this is going to cause a stack up here out of turn 2.
Uh-oh. Watch out, boys. Watch out, boys. And there she comes.
Well, I can imagine there might be some dramas after this one. Watch into turn 1. Well, you guys going for the same spot of the road there, but neither really had the ability to say that it was the others. Well, maybe you could say the 25. He pushed up just a little bit there.
Yeah, I'm curious if that was him pushing up or him kind of getting loose and, that little bit of overcorrection.
Yeah.
You see his truck just a little bit checked up there. I would imagine it's not on purpose. Then Cameron Hearn, you can see him. He turns it hard into the wall because he wants to prevent himself from coming back down the racetrack and taking out anyone else.
Yeah. Tore up that truck pretty good, though. That's it. That truck for sure. So 22 laps in. Last night it was everyone came down for tires. Do we think we'll see that again tonight? Well, we're going to find out. Yep.
I was going to say, I feel like at this point you kind of have to come in.
Saw some drivers play a 2-tire call last night. Not appear like anyone is going to obviously choose that. See? Well, we've got a second. We talked about our SimWrap Market replay. Fans, be sure to check out our simwrapmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to help you stay more focused on the racetrack. simwrapmarket.com. Trucks are into pit lane here. Anna Sogak is just going to roll on through. Anybody going to take 2 tires and bail? Cameron Hearn is obviously in trouble, but everybody else, 4 tires for the entire field that time through.
Yeah, I remember last time we saw some guys, particularly really Brandon Bowie, last night decided to take 2 tires. Worked out initially for the first 5 laps, and then he dropped like a rock through the rest of the order, fell all the way down to 34th, somehow clawed his way back up by the time the night was over, but no one being experimental tonight. I think everyone agrees all around you're going to want to come in and get 4 tires every time you can.
Brad Slaughter Jr. gained a bunch of spots in pit lane up to 9th place now. Danny Ware is up a couple. James Scioli is up into 6th place. And think about the season that Scioli has had. You look at where he is in the standings, which is not high up the... Where am I looking? It's 10th in the standings. And his finishes... How does this even make sense? Did he not run a race? Yeah, okay, he hasn't run 2 races, that's why. His stats in the races that he has run all have been top 10s except for Iowa, which was a 22nd. And of those top 10s, of which there are 5, 4 of them were top 3s. Well, he doesn't come out just to run. He comes out to win or to run very close to the pointy end. So keep an eye on the 7.
Yeah, always have to keep an eye on James Scully. Runs really well. Also want to keep an eye on that number 9 truck, looking very fierce out there tonight. Just trying to look at his stats a little bit earlier to see how well he's on the rest of the season. Obviously, you mentioned he had that win from Iowa. As far as laps led, hasn't really led a whole lot of laps outside of Iowa. Led 72 laps there, 1 lap at Gateway, 9 at Darlington tonight. He has led, trying to look at that. Is that 4?
What? Yes.
Is that only 4
We're
laps
trying to
led
read
for
it.
him?
Yes.
Oh, feels like more.
Yeah, it does feel like more.
Feels like he led more.
Notable on his finishes, all top 10s except for Gateway. And remarkably, so he had won a race at Iowa. And of the other 6 races, 4 were a 5th, 6th, or 7th. Pretty consistent in that region. And right now he's running up front, so better that average if he stays where he's at. Does it feel like the pace truck is driving slower tonight? It feels like it's driving slower tonight, doesn't it?
Just for you. One thing, well, since the pace truck's been driving slow, I've been looking at the chat. Cameron Hearn, not a fan of 5 Wide Esports. Well, let me tell you that. There's a particular reason for that. If anyone remembers the race at Rockingham earlier this season.
Oh, right.
Another 5 Wide Esports driver ran into him. He said, I'll try to make this as family-friendly as possible. Expletive team, expletive drivers. At least this one has good internet.
Wow. Wow.
And he also said, I am about to have some netcode issues in 35 minutes. Take that what you make of it.
Oh, man. Oh, no.
And then George about to kill Kyle with it. Jesus Christ. You call 911 for you?
I'm good. I can't have my laughs tonight. My throat is still too volatile after my sickness. I enjoy when drivers get a little spicy. I know Cameron's frustrated. It's a frustrating scenario.
Yeah, and Jordan responded to the first one. He responded tough. That's what Cameron put in the netcode comment. And then Jordan Hurley replied, all bark, no bite.
Wow. All right, boys, get out the boxing gloves.
So some shade thrown in the chat.
Guys, Bristol was last week. We had the opportunity to throw down a little bit, but all right. Well, there are laps remaining and truck's still on the track, so we go back green at lap number 26. Matthew Bell is in command in the Logitech Toyota. David Weishart and Matco Tools Chevrolet on the outside. Green flag back in the air. Down the backstretch, look at James Scioli looking very aggressive on the inside. Cutrer and Weishart door-to-door for second place. Weishart throttles up to try to grab some more momentum and take that 33 truck to the front.
I was going to say, I completely didn't even realize he was up there now in that 33 machine, trying to make some moves. It was a bit quiet early on in this race, now trying to make some noise around the 25 will go. Now it's in his sights on Matthew Bell.
Wineland, big slide out of turn 2. Power slid that truck, and it will leave him vulnerable to the 7 as Scioli tries to go to 4th quick. The front 3 have singled themselves out. Look at Swerve and Irvin trying lane number 3. Kenny Ware, Rafe Slate, Jeffrey Wilson, Brad Slaughter Jr., the rest of the top 10.
Looking a little bit further back, side-by-side action there is Brad Slaughter Jr. Still trying to find his way up through the order. He started in 10th, is running 10th actually. Now just got passed by Ryan Hart in the number 3 around the outside. And Beckner getting a little bit frustrated in traffic, yelling, let's go. Because I think he's trying to move up through the order. It's stuck down deep in the field. It's 22nd. He's actually moved up 5 spots from after starting in 27th.
Got a big run here out of 4. I don't know what he's going to do with it with this wall of trucks ahead of him. The 11, Jordan Martin. In the 41 of Cale Holmes. Where do you go?
Where do you go? It's looking very similar to last night, although I think we're going to see these guys get stretched out a little bit more over the course of the runs. I think he's got to kind of... I don't think you can really wait for that, though. Oh, some smoke up ahead. Truck spinning. The 15 is around.
Oh, more trouble. Big crash out of turn 4.
It's a big one.
And one truck on its side.
Oh, wow. Someone catching air.
51 of Hartman, I think, was the one that got airborne there. That was a big mess. Where did that start?
Up near the front. Actually, don't even know if it was... I'm trying to remember who I saw. One of the 5 Wide Esports trucks. That one getting absolutely destroyed there.
Big block ahead. That's where it starts. Which truck is that? Is it Hurley? Yes.
It's 25. Or sorry, the 5.
It is the 5, yeah. So What happens here? So back straightaway here. Who's got behind him? That's Seidenfeiden here. Seidenfeiden's all over him. Goes off into turn 3, and I thought he got blocked, but I think in reality he just shoved the 5 around, turns him around, and then see the rest.
They call it Fambro's in the middle of that. One blue truck catching air twice. Pit lane getting absolutely blocked.
Yeah. So the start of this is the 45. Yeah, there was a block there for sure. But
yeah, I think he blocked Seidenfeiden. Seidenfeiden had enough of that and finished him off.
Oh man, that took out and Hartman. Holy cow!
Got to ride forward to the 51.
My goodness.
Whew. Call that a stadium super truck.
I'll say.
With the amount of air he caught.
Watch this in slow-mo now as the field still. Oh, the Atco Tools truck in the background getting stacked up here. And Logan, nowhere to go. Tries to turn down the racetrack, but he's going to get hit here by side of the 20. Then the nose of the 18 is going to ramp him up onto the tailgate of the 11. Sparks flying and shooting everywhere. And Bryce Senesac in all this, he might have gotten out unscathed. Him there in the backdrop. And let's see if we can ride on board with the 09. See what he saw.
It's kind of amazing to think anyone managed to make it through their unscathed. We'll see how this 09 fared. As you can see, he was very deep in traffic, pretty much right in the middle of this. 46 just up ahead of him. Spin happening, going to dive to the inside. Carnage unfolding all around, and he somehow makes it through.
Man. Big mess. Third caution of the night. And we're back under yellow here at lap 31 of 120. I bet you more drivers are be feeling that one. And that took out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trucks. And maybe even more. I know there's more that got some damage in that. Fambro, an 8th truck involved in that. Jordan Martin. That was almost a dozen cars.
Yeah, and it's funny you're talking about sparks flying in that wreck. Also, still sparks flying in the chat.
Oh boy!
Carter Coop chimed in with that. He quoted, "No bark, no bite, loses in front of the field." Wow. In reference to what Jordan Hurley said before we went green.
I mean, in fairness, he did have some help. In fairness to the guy that helped him, Hurley did throw a block. So we'll throw all that on the table.
Yes.
What else?
Oh, they're throwing. They're throwing.
Okay,
hands now.
I don't want to read it out necessarily, but I do want to go and read it. So I'm going to do that. You can read it for yourself on twitch.tv/area iRacing, which is where I am going to read the chat on my own stream. So that's what.
No, it's not the chat in the stream. It's the chat in the server.
Oh, well, that's not very fun. I can't.
No, you can't read it. Well, you could read it, but you can't read it. You can't, pull it up on the broadcast.
Bet. Sorry, I got.
I'll reading all the spicy news going on. But yeah, it's funny because you mentioned it, right? Bristol was last week, but somehow Charlotte's bringing out the worst in people, apparently. And the funny thing, too, is we're only on lap 33 of 120. Still have a lot of racing to go. So if you're angry now, you can only imagine how angry some people are going to get by the time this is over.
All right, I've done reading the novel. Back to the broadcast. So we're doubling back up for the restart now. So Matthew Bell is out front here. One of the drivers I feel pretty bad for is Jeff Noe in the 55. A good start to the night, started up inside the top 10, and he was taken out and all that, and just said, man, DNF every week because of stuff like that. You just got to feel for him, man.
Mm-hmm.
Not involved, well, involved, but not his fault, and I'll stack up on your Nike.
Oh, absolutely, and it always sucks, especially when you're having such a good run, like you said. And, sometimes those runs just don't come that often. You get a little bit lucky, qualify well, everything kind of just looks your way, and then you're taken out by something you had absolutely no control over. It's always the worst feeling as a driver.
So that, again, we took out about 8 trucks in that. A couple of those are back rolling. I'm going to restart at lap number 34 of 120. And the players up front are beginning to establish themselves. See if they can stay there. Pace truck pulls off. And back to green from Charlotte. Matthew Bell's in command. Good clean launch from the number 9. Scioli's got overlap maybe on Cartwright down the back straightaway. Not quite. Fending off David Weishart here. Throttles up the 33.
Weishart not particularly. And Weishart not a particularly good restart. Eric Wineland making sure he knew that wasn't a good restart. So hoping that when they get going as they somewhat sort themselves out near the front of the field around the top 10. A little bit more chaotic further back. Ooh, almost just saw Jeffrey Wilson, the 85, almost wreck in the middle of the field.
Yeah, he got a push from the 19 of Ryan Swan off into turn 1. And for the lead, Matthew Bell feeling the pressure from Cutrer into turn 3, but Cody didn't turn down and try to grab the spot.
I'll give him some time, though. I'm sure he's going to be feeling racy. Both of you guys have been going constantly at it since they found each other near the front of the order. They've not let one driver just hold the lead. They've been trying to fight back no matter what. Eric Wendland ripping around the top lane, trying to see if he can get a spot on Paul Irvin on the inside.
Cars in the wall in the backdrop. Right around Bryce Senesek. He dodged and weaved his way through the crash. Area is up inside the top 15, looking for a top 10 spot if he can get around a couple of these trucks.
It's a little bit of ways to go. As
crash, front straightaway.
Whoa, wreck.
The 6 and the 20. Christopher Tate and Justin Munsell, 2 of the trucks I saw. We were just watching that start-finish line cam and then sideways across the camera shot and 60 miles an hour.
That was one way to see a wreck happen.
I think one of the Rhines was in it as well.
At a turret. Yeah, it just started. You want to probably start around 3 and 4. Look at Tommy Rhines. You checked up a little bit for some reason, moving to the inside. Munsell got checked up, and Ryan got into the 6, and that caused everything else to unfold. Not sure why.
That was. I mean, he slows up a bunch and then just kind of gently wanders up into the 6. Yeah, I don't know about that. He likes to give the guys benefit of the doubt.
Martin got a pretty good view. Jordan B. Martin. Coming off turn 4, you can see right up ahead.
Yeah, it's one of those wrecks that, wow, Martin did a great job turning down into the turf.
I was gonna say, I think he's really lucky that it's turf now and no longer grass. I feel like he probably would have had not as fun of a time running through there.
Yeah, it's just one of those wrecks that you watch back and you're like, why did that happen? You know, especially as a participant, you're like that. There's no justification. You know, there wasn't like a chain of events. It was just a guy kind of facially disaware there for a second, but that'll happen on a racetrack at 170. Though, with caution out again here, we got a moment. No pit stops yet. I think too short of a run for drivers to bite here. Fans, be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Be sure to follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series, who will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standing. No pit stops and not a lot of shuffling to speak of. We'll come back after this short break. Return with action from the Area Truck Series. back live on Sim TV in the Area Truck Series. Round number 9 from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Kicking things off here tonight with a string of yellows in the first 40 laps. Couple single car incidents and one big multi-car accident at a turn 4. We're a couple laps clear of that. But cautions, Finney, and we thought we'd see some green flag running here. I think we're getting close to it here, but some troubles here early getting rolling.
Oh, absolutely, and we'll see if the troubles have ended or if they are still just beginning here with the string of cautions. Yeah, and actually you can throw the graphic up on screen, how many we've had so far. I want to say 4 or 5. So 4 cautions tonight so far. Still have 80 laps to go. Curious to see what happens here. That being said, though, with the wrecks we've been having, we're losing quite a few drivers. We've got just about, I think, 32 trucks remaining on the racetrack. Everyone else pretty much wrecked out of this.
Yeah, we are a third of the way through the race. We have lost about a quarter of the field to incidents, but most of them were because of that big one out of turn 4, which not a lot of drivers could have done much about, unfortunately, but that's just how it goes. The track gets blocked. Now, here's an interesting thing. It's been turn 4 that's been the calamity corner last night. But you remember last night, everything was out of turn 2?
Yep. Which, again, is weird because usually, and as we see it in real life, usually turn 4 is where all the chaos ensues, and that's pretty much been where most of the wrecks have happened here tonight, either off turn 4 or just after turn 4 on the front straightaway. So it's been more akin to real life with this truck series with the way the wrecks have been happening.
Yeah, definitely an issue. The front straightaway in particular has also been a trouble spot tonight. They make them challenging here, Finney. It's not as straight as it looks. Got the 2 kinks in it. The track kind of narrows up a little bit. You're coming off the corner. The tracks like this, you kind of jump off into the banking because the track falls away from you on entry. You're climbing up out of the banking on corner exit. It's a challenging proposition, especially in a truck where you've got to keep your foot in it as long as possible. Momentum is key, and you don't get it back as quickly as you lose it.
No, you don't, and that's the big thing is, right, everyone's trying to keep their momentum up off the corner, so guys don't even want to let off, and if you're on the inside, you're facing a little bit of dirty air, tires starting to wear off, you come off the inside lane, you end up tapping someone, dooring someone, and then, again, that's why a lot of times it does happen off of turn 4, because you go from, 3-4 lanes of traffic, all narrowing down to 1 or 2 lanes off the wall on exit, and that's where all the chaos typically ensues, and we'll see if there will be more chaos following here as we're just about to get the restart.
Matthew Bell, Cody Cutwer, David Weishart. If you're interested in knowing where Cameron Hearn is at in his repair, 21 minutes in just now. What was the magic number, 35?
35, yes.
James Scioli up on the outside of the second row. Just past the 1/3 mark of this race. Green flag back in the air. Look at Rafe Slate on the high side with a push from Paul Irvin. Where did the 08 come from? We hadn't talked about him a lot tonight. Started 17th. He's been a non-factor, but now to the high side, trying to make something work. Throttles up around the outside of Eric Wineland.
Yeah, we're going to try to make it work here and see if he can get it done. We'll just get that spot done. Nowhere to go. He's got James Scioli directly in front of him in the number 7. And Scioli's also trying to make some waves here as he's going to be up into 4th. Trying to chase down the top 3 Cutterer, chasing down Weishart and Bell for the top few spots.
Good battles in behind. Brad Slaughter Jr., Bryce Senesac, and more. Oh, what happened? Oh, James Scioli has got some internet-related problems at the moment. Comes back up into 4th place.
Always a heart attack moment as a driver. Just flash out, everyone disappears around you. You have no idea where you are, and you have no idea if you're going to come back to the racetrack.
I can tell you the visibility is awful following trucks because you know how many times I have seen people hit the back straightaway wall? Dead straight wall. And drivers are scraping it because they don't have any visibility. They got the huge spoilers in front of them on the trucks that they're following so close, and they just don't have any visibility on where they're going.
Bit surprised you haven't seen more contact with the turn 1 entry wall. We saw that a few times last night. Guys hitting it. Yeah, so obviously with that, the back straightaway being straight, you know, with turn 1 wall, you're kind of coming up on a curve, and then you have to time your entry in. So I can understand that a little bit more than the straight back wall. As you look at Paul Irvin all the way up near the top. Somewhat there, somewhat not there that lane as he slots back in behind the number 7.
Got Rafe Slade behind him, Eric Wineland. Wineland is beginning to slip here just a little bit. And Ryan Hartz finally getting up to where he belongs after starting pretty deep in the field here tonight, back in 21st place. Jeffrey Wilson to his outside, who started 10th. He's dropped, or 7th rather, dropped a couple spots to 9th.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see if Wineland does lose a spot, because I'm sure he doesn't want to finish 8th anymore, because his last 3 finishes have all been 8th place.
I mean, it could be worse than that, but it could be better also.
Yeah, I was going to say, compared to how he's running in the first part of this race, too, up inside the top 5, not looking particularly hot at the moment, but still running pretty well. Again, still trying to get his runs back. Gets a great run out of turn 2 on the 7 of James Scully.
Yeah, followed Paul Irvin, who had a really good run in the middle of 1 and 2 as they sort themselves out. But that high lane in 1 and 2, again, I've never really liked 3 and 4 up in the high groove here, but 1 and 2, you can really get aggressive in the middle of the corner, throttling up, and watch Wineland do it again. Going to throttle up and just watch the momentum he gains here on the 48.
He's going to cut down just a little bit off of turn 2, but is able to carry so much more momentum running the higher lane, and will slingshot past the 48 up into 4th. So
yeah,
picking him up and putting him down.
That's the first pass we've really seen legitimately on the outside that was done in 1 turn. So maybe we're seeing something about the track. Weather told us earlier that track temp was 89. It's still 89, so not a lot of shifting conditions to change the situation, but everyone seems pretty glued to that blue line when they're by themselves, but maybe there's something to that upper lane here as we get deeper in the race and you're side by side.
Looking fairly calm up near the front of the field. Everyone kind of slowly stringing themselves out.
Poseidon 5 battling Danny Ware. This is for 11th. And whoop. That Fambro that is back on the racetrack and will slow in 1
Yes,
and 2.
it is. It is 18, very off the pace. I'm just trying to run out there. You can see the speed difference coming off of turn 2.
Yeah, he
moving
is
chicane pretty much.
only 1 lap down for the time being, but looking a lot worse than that.
Yeah, it kind of sucks as the driver. You're kind of just running out there. You're just trying to keep the points picture alive for him. Again, not locked into the playoffs, and going to be really hoping that he can get a win, just going to lock himself in, because this is definitely not going to reflect well on him tonight, running in 31st at the moment.
10 laps still halfway. That will happen at lap number 60. Matthew Bell has been in command of this race for most of them, 31 of 51. David Weishart right behind him has led 0. He'd like to change that, but it'll be pretty hard to find any momentum difference here. They need the tires to really fall off. I mean, we say that. We're down about a second off of the fresh tire speeds, but it doesn't really seem like that fall off is happening unequally. Kind of everyone's falling off at the exact same rate. So it doesn't seem like beating up your tires has been as big of a deal in this truck as it has been in the Cup car. In the Cup car, you burn up your tires, it's obvious, and you fall back very quickly. But tonight, everyone's kind of aging their tires at the same rate, mostly probably because we haven't had a lot of green flag racing for them to wear them out indifferently on.
Yeah, I think that's really the big thing, right? Because when you start to get that run in, see the guys that push their tires certainly start to drift back, and the guys who save their tires do a little bit better. Then he throws in some green flag pit stops, or just some pit stops after a long green flag run, and that can kind of mix things up. But yeah, we've just had really, really short runs. I think the longest one we probably had was, I think, maybe 17, 20 laps. Nothing really further longer than that. So I think that's why we're seeing what's unfolding in front of us at the moment. In behind these guys, Scioli jumping to the inside of Paul Irvin will get the pass done.
Scioli trying not to let his progress stall here. Was as high as 4th earlier in this race, but on the outside lane on a restart, we saw that really be a deficit last night. Back up to 5th.
Yeah, Ray Slade also trying to poke his nose through to see if he can get cleared past Irvin.
That one up in the wall. Is that Tommy Ryan? Yep. What happened to him out of turn 2?
Little bit too optimistic on the throttle right there, catching the wall. And you can see how much that slows him down.
Got Brad Slaughter Jr. now to his inside. Just behind them, Travis Beckner. And Beckner has just not had a lot of pace tonight. He hasn't had a lot of chances to show it either. Didn't have a lot of pace last night, it seemed, either, but it drove his way up there, and at the tail end of the race, found himself in a much better spot. But tonight, it just has been a little bit of a struggle for the 28. And he has some front-end damage, which doesn't seem to be helping.
Yeah, I was going to say, fairly mediocre night. I don't know where he got the damage, whether it was the start of the race or not. I'm going to see if I can quickly see where he got that. But, yeah, it's not been a good run, especially because we know what he's capable of. I'm not sure what's the issue there, if it's that damage or something else not clicking.
Brad Slaughter Jr. and Tommy Ryan fighting for 14th. Slaughter on the inside, Ryan on the outside. For that outside groove to be a factor here. Now we're getting into the point of the run where it is becoming clear to me that finding enough of a difference in pace to make a pass is going to be tricky, and the drivers are beginning to realize that. So when you ramp things up for the second half of this race, which we're going to get to in just a couple of laps, that's going to be on the top of their minds, that once we get past the restart phase, having enough tire left to do much of anything is going to be hard.
Oh, absolutely, and we'll see how they deal with that. There you see Tommy Ryan working around the top of Brad Slaughter, just ahead of them, one of the 5Y Esports machines. Jeffrey Wilson still working on the back of Ryan Swan. Couldn't get it done. Ooh, Wilson in the wall, though, in turn one.
That pulls it off the fence. 5 minutes left on the crash clock for Cameron Hearn. Take that for what it's worth. Now, I do know that in area they take retaliation very seriously. And Cameron Hearn is in a position in the point standings where I wouldn't really expect him to put a suspension out there, but 6th. Maybe he feels like with this crash damage tonight that he might be out of it anyway and just to send it.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I don't think he will. I think that might be just more anger talking.
Yeah.
Again, for the person who just wants to see chaos until I kind of want to see him get back out there.
I
Makes
think
good television.
Well, I think there's a lot of the all talk, no action sort of thing, which might invigorate you. But in the moment, you're going to speak differently. You're going to make threats. That's just how racers are. But we'll see if Cameron Hearn takes that to heart or if it's just a momentary storm in the emotion cloud. I like that term.
Yeah. Really well
I should be
put.
a
Guys working around
therapist.
Colin Fambro good.
Is there a motion cloud
I
raining?
wouldn't go that far.
All right, lap number 61 here. We come out of turn 4, halfway through this race. Matthew Bell has led the most laps so far, but it has a little ways to go before he can lock in that most laps led. David Weishart has kept pace with them. They have left everybody else in the dust. Cody Cutler's 1.9 behind. Front 2 have checked out.
Yeah, I was going to say, Weishart's been like a wasp in Bell's ear. He's been constantly on the back of him, has not given him any breathing room. Speaking of breathing room, these guys are in a tussle here in the midfield.
Yeah, I think the slow 18, it kind of kicked up the dust back here just for the time being. It goes with Ryan Hartz and Rafe Slate battling for 6th. But then this Irvin, Senesac, Ware, Slaughter, side-and-side battle is getting pretty spicy also.
Yeah, Paul Irvin's starting to fall off quite a bit. We saw him running in the top 5 consistently early on in the race. Now it's starting to drift back a little. Still running in 8th, that was still a really solid run, but Bryce Senesac's trying to change that and see if he can get past.
Yeah, Senesac, remember he dodged all those crashes earlier? 16th to 8th. He can hang on to this spot. Be a good night for him. Bristol didn't go so good for Bryce. Neither did last night. Like a good finish out of all that.
Ryan Hart's making a move on Eric Wineland just up the road from that battle we were looking at.
For the lead.
For the lead, here comes Weishart to the inside of Bell for the first time this run.
Yeah, David Weishart drops to the blue line. And Matthew Bell hang on. We haven't seen anybody really challenge Bell this seriously since the very opening laps of this race. Bell leads that lap, but just.
Yeah, just by a nose. They're 10,000ths of a second across the line. Still side by side. Weishart with the nose up ahead. Bell should have the run off the corner, and a check by Weishart to kill the run from the 9.
Wow.
That was really well done.
Was well done. James Scully grabbed a spot from Cutrer, and back with Irvin, Ware, Slaughter, and Swan. It's back fighting for feathers.
As they continue to go at it here in that group. Laps starting to wind down here. And we also want to note here, we've been on these tires for 42 laps. When do we start seeing, or really, when do we think that you see these guys come down pit lane?
Yeah,
I mean, next big question.
Tires, yeah, the fuel is going to limit that, but we haven't used as much fuel as we have tire. More heat cycles on the tire, but fuel saving wise, we're going to get another at least 15 laps out of this. But I think they'll see drivers go that 15 and then pit and be done. But we might get a yellow before then also, so we'll keep that in mind as we got these battles formulating around the track.
Side by side, there's Brad Slaughter Jr. running the top side in behind Paul Irvin.
Big run to the bottom, 3 wide.
The lane was open on the bottom. He's going to take it. Can't quite commit though. Didn't have enough alongside Paul Irvin. You see up near the wall trying to stay out and give as much room as possible.
Might get one out of it. Won't get both. It wasn't as clean of a finish as it was the start there.
No, definitely not. I think that was kind of more of a last-second move. I think he hesitated for a second. He thought, maybe it shouldn't go, and then realized he had enough of a run as Irvin gets in the wall just a little bit. It's going to kill his run off the corner.
I don't know if he got all the way to the wall, but he had to jump on the brakes to avoid pancaking it. That cost him a couple of spots there. Ryan Hart's up to 4.
The lightest.
That's cut.
Lightest of scrapes there. And as you mentioned, Ryan Hart's working his way past. We can pass to 25.
I was going to keep talking and see if I could just interrupt you every time you spoke.
Sorry.
70 laps to go.
The same way.
70 laps to go.
Do the rest
David
of the
Weishart's
broadcast.
yeah, just constantly interrupting you.
Go on.
You should go.
No, you go.
You should go.
Oh, we got
All right, okay, that's dumb. All right, Bryce Senesac leads the way for 8th as we watch Brad Slaughter Jr. take up the racetrack. He's been using his higher groove in turn 2. It's working out for him here down the backstretch now. Senesac looks left, Slaughter looks lefter.
Almost saw a 3-wide situation occurring there again. Moved to the inside of Senesac, side by side for both of them. But it's like we were talking about earlier, that top lane works really well in 1 and 2, not so much in 3 and 4, but it still works. I see Swan get close to the wall on exit there.
Biden fighting down pit lane with 50 to go. That might be the first of our scheduled end pit stops here.
See, a little bit earlier than I was expecting for some of these guys, but he will come down and get service to his machine.
Senesac and Swan still door-to-door into turn 3. Jeff Ryan, I think, is back on the racetrack 14 laps down in that 37 truck. Senesac splits the middle there. A little tight.
Yeah, just a little bit. Heading off to the corner.
And the leaders have begun to kind of accordion back together. It's not tight yet, but Weishart and Bell had a pretty enormous lead, and Scioli has been trying to track him down. Last time through, Bell was actually a fair bit faster than Weishart, and Scioli was a touch slower, but I think this time we're going to see a different story. Weishart across the line, 32.452. Well, that time through, Scioli was the fastest by a pretty big margin, 10th and a half.
Yeah, and Scully's been catching up every single lap. He's been slowly making inroads to the 9 and the 33, so I think, I'm curious to see, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do anything before the pit stops begin. I say that, he's made up a huge amount of time on the 9 just now, but it definitely, when pit stops start, you can expect to see the 7 either in the middle of this battle or potentially in front of it.
Making good speed. Remember, any race that he's entered, with one exception, that was back at Iowa, he has been top 10. Cody Cutrer, he is in trouble. Real slow the last couple of laps, about a half a second off, and he's dropped down to 7th. I think he should be looking for pit lane here relatively soon. Cameron Hearn, by the way, completed his repairs, but is now off the racetrack. Oh, look out! The 25 almost got into Wineland and got shoved up the racetrack there by the 00 of Danny Ware. That almost got messy.
Yeah, I was going to say that was a bit interesting there. It was kind of like a half-hearted last-second dive. You see right into the corner, goes to the inside of the 21. Wineland definitely wasn't expecting that. You see the 25 had to check up because he was getting tight. Almost got turned by the 00 Ware behind.
It almost didn't work out for anybody there. 1-2 punch it would have been. Tommy Ryan and Ryan Swan door-to-door down the backstretch.
And there goes Ryan on through. He will get that spot pretty easily without contest. During the 85 with Jeffrey Wilson, he's calling out on the radio. He's going to be coming down next time by.
That's right now. Here he comes. Ooh, a little hot.
Whoa.
James Scioli for second past Matthew Bell, and he's through. Makes it look easy.
I was going to say, I saw them getting close. I just decided to make that pass last time through, and as mentioned, made it look easy.
Josh Taylor and Garrett Grant having a little scrap. I haven't really talked a lot about Josh Taylor, not only this race, but this season. Tonight running 13th at the moment. Started back 14th. Not a bad evening for the HendrickCars.com Chevrolet.
More guys down in pit lane. Whoa, Paul Urban passing Cody Cutter down on pit lane. As both of them come on through. Cutter taking a little bit more conservative. Urban coming flying on through.
Turn across the nose there, too.
Just trying to double check to make sure Urban didn't have a penalty from charging in too hot.
Yeah, got to be aggressive, though.
Oh, Weishart almost saw him almost wreck out.
Have a look at it. They were coming on down. Here's out of turn 4. He was the race leader. And on the brakes here, whoop. Yeah, just a messy downshift there, I think, is what got him. Drive line ordeal, but into the box he will roll. A lot of smoke on pit lane as well as everybody slides in and gets right back on the road. This should be their final scheduled pit stop. If we get another yellow, I'm sure they'll come again, but I don't think they're going to come back down on purpose under green flag conditions. Here's Weishart and Scioli right off pit lane.
Yeah, it's been a slow trickle down on the pit lane, not everyone jumping in at the same time. Still got pretty much 14 of the guys.
Weishart almost in Bell. Oh, crash out of turn 2. The 9 of Matthew Bell.
Uh-oh. What on earth happened there?
And big time damage to the driver that led over 35 laps tonight.
Who got in some contact here. He's coming flying fast, new tires, then comes up on the 20 of Munsell.
Yep.
As the gap closes with the 4, got hip check, into the wall he goes.
That is frustrating for the 9. 20 comes up off the blue line here, mid-corner, and just kind of, just hits him. Not anything Matthew Bell did wrong there. I mean, maybe you could have been a little bit more conservative and not gone for that gap, but the 20 came up off the banking, or off the apron, pretty aggressively there. And that is going to hurt his chances for sure, and probably doom that 9 away from victory lane tonight.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because that truck was really fast. Definitely looked like he had a solid chance of winning this race, and as mentioned, now it's kind of out of the window now. Also, just an update for David Weiser. Didn't get a penalty after getting very close to breaching the line. Again, he can't jump up onto the apron. You can't jump up from the apron to the. He did not.
Okay. Thank you. I was waiting.
Yeah.
Here you go ahead.
So, interrupting each other again. You can't jump up from the apron to the racing surface until you pass the blue line on the back straightaway. So, as you mentioned there, though, when he was coming up, got very close, wasn't quite there to trigger a penalty.
And Matthew Bell's back down pit lane, and he might just park that truck. Frustrating end to a very strong early run for the 9 of Matthew Bell. And meanwhile, out front, Lath Hicks took 2 tires. Nope, that was a long time ago. That was not their most recent stop. So the newest drivers on fresh tires towards the front, it's going to cycle to be Chris Seidenfeiden, but he pit about 8 or 9 laps before everybody else, and he's probably going to get run on down here in just a couple laps. 40 laps to go here, the final third of this race. And it should cycle eventually to be Weishart, Scioli, Hart's your top 3.
Yeah, if you want to go to the blimp shot here and just kind of look at everyone around the track, because the blimp static game, I was going to say, because everyone's really spread out at the moment due to the pits. Like you see, there's trucks everywhere on the racetrack, and a huge amount of separation. I imagine they're going to start kind of converging back into each other. And one driver I want to look at is Eric Wineland. Just came out of the pits now, got the freshest tires in the field, but all the way back down in 19th.
Yeah. Well, I like it. I kind of like it overcut here because these laps are long, but we've got a long time left for Eric to use those. I'm afraid of giving up track position. It's been very tough for people to make passes stick tonight, but he's already up to 17th. We'll see how much more ground he can gain as we work our way closer to 35 laps to go, about 20 minutes left. And with the field as spread out as they are, I think Eric read this very well. We're probably not going to get a caution anytime soon based on where everyone's running. So that might be a safe call.
Yeah, it might be yet to see. If a caution does come out, it's going to be absolutely catastrophic. He's going to
Yeah.
get put down in the order, and it's going to be very tough to crawl out of that hole. But, as you always say, you made your bed, now you have to lay in it. He's got to just kind of hope for the best. Up for the front, though, Chris Seidenfeiden leading. I thought I saw Scioli coming back at him. Sorry,
Yeah.
that was Weishart.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting there. There's, Seidenfeiden, Lath Hicks, side by side. They're Lath on way old tires here, trying a massive overcut. The Weishart and Scioli encroaching into the shot right here.
Yeah, we'll continue on, notably without Matthew Bell, as mentioned, damaged his car off the track. Effectively called it. He has actually left the server as well, so he has called it a night.
Yeah, frustrating. I mean, I don't blame him. That's a tough way to go. Especially when you're in a green flag run and it's, it's not like you got caught up in a wreck that happened in front of you couldn't miss. It was just bad timing. And if you had pit a lap later, it might not have happened.
Yep. So I want to kind of one of those things. The driver just kind of sit down and kind of hope that things went a slightly different way, slightly better way. So look at Travis Beckner on the back of Danny Ware. We're talking about him early, mired down in the field, couldn't really make a whole lot of progress, and now is knocking on the door of the top 10. And that's still including the fact he's still got about, I think, 3 more guys in the top 10 still yet to pit. So that 28 looking good so far.
And he also pit pretty late in the cycle, which means that he's not on defense right now. He's on offense on January. Travis Beckner always finds a way. It seems rare that he is a dominant force, but he always kind of ends up in the picture somehow.
Yeah, well, I mean, they don't pay you points for running well in the first part of the race.
Like a
Depends how
family,
you run near the end.
a family photo where he's nobody's boyfriend, but he's always in the picture. You know what I mean?
That's scarily accurate.
Like, who's that guy? I don't know. He just shows up. Family photo time. Weishart goes by Seidenfeiden, takes the lead away, but again, Seidenfeiden's on a different strategy that is going to cost him in the long run here, which we expected, and he will drop to third.
We're see how this is going to play out with the 45, because I would argue he came in a little too early.
Yeah.
And by little too early, I mean way too early, because I think the next guy after him came in 5 laps after him, so he's got a long way to go on the set of tires, and I wouldn't be surprised if he decides to stay out, see him maybe have a blowout, because he's going to have to be out there for a while.
Rafe Slate, looking at Brad Slaughter Jr., another driver that's kind of crept into the picture. 3 wide with some traffic, but Rafe's going to drive in hard into turn 3. And I just heard someone's motor go poof on pit lane.
Yeah, it wouldn't be probably from one of the guys that's been kind of sitting down there for quite a while. I'm not exactly sure.
Ooh, Brad Slaughter skimmed the wall on turn 1 entrance. Meanwhile, behind, Wineland up to 11th and climbing 30.478. That was 3/10 faster than the leaders last time by. So when will the tires equalize out? But right now, he's making up pretty good progress. And bringing Ryan Swan with him, by the way.
Yeah, Swan attaching on board and moving up through the field, both of them working pretty well. I'm just curious, though, for Wineland, we were talking about that just now, that cliff, when are the tires going to kind of end? When does he stop making such incremental improvements and kind of balance himself out? Because I'm not quite convinced he can catch back up to Weiser and Scioli. I think definitely might get a solid top 5 out of this, though, at the rate he's going.
I mean, that's kind of where he was running, so it'll be a net zero gain there. But I like the strategy. I like being on offense here with still 30 laps to go. So, I mean, he's still only really 6.8 seconds back and gaining still a couple tenths a lap. So, yeah, I think he'll stall out before he gets there, but he might get up all the way up as far as 4th or 3rd even, too. So, Seidenfeiden's on borrowed time up there. Right here.
Yeah, working around. Colin Farmer is still running out there in 29th.
30 to go also.
Here comes Ryan Hart's in behind. Seidenfeiden looking for the back. There is Danny Ware. Clear of Travis Beckner, trying to run off into the sunset in 7th.
Goes Ryan Hart's on through up into 3rd place. Remember, Hart's came into the night 2nd in the standings, and this would just continue to him in that picture. But he's behind Weishart, who has 2 wins on the season. Weishart's most recent win came just a couple weeks ago at Darlington and Atlanta, 2 of the last 3, as you mentioned at the top of the show.
Slate work his way on through. We'll get past Chris Seidenfeiden. So look for the back right center. Zach Tommy Ryan to get out.
Justin Munsell, Jordan Martin, a couple of good battles formulating all over, and Ryan back to the inside of Senesac for 15th place.
Riding by himself at the moment, more or less, as he's gotten by. Up ahead of them, see Colin Farmer getting overtaken. Paul Urban. Paul Urban, this has been a bit unfortunate for him because he had such a good run earlier on in this race and he's kind of drifted out back now to 14.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like he's really going in particularly forward. If anything, I think he's being chased down now. Tommy Ryan said is that closing up pretty quickly on him.
Yeah, not finishing the way that he started with all that energy. So with a rash of cautions at the beginning of this race in the first 50 laps, since then, we've gone a half hour now without any yellows. So it's 9:45 Eastern, the last time that we had a yellow flag. We are getting within the last 25 laps of this race, which goes by pretty quick. Go back to Beckner and Wineland battling for 8th place. And with the field strung out here, Finian, the beds are made. I said this a lot last night. Beds are made. You got to lay in them now. So wherever you put yourself in your strategy, in your track position, and you're battling all night, now it's going to come to fruition here if you played your cards right.
Absolutely. As you look at where Wineland's getting past Travis Beckner fairly easily. Up in 8th, now chasing down Danny Ware and Chris Seidenfeiden directly ahead of him. Seidenfeiden shouldn't be too much of an issue to deal with.
Just fading late in the race here. He could benefit from a yellow, but again, I don't think that was the strategy to play based on how everything was run.
No, I mean, he's looking pretty good because he did come in around 14th, 15th place. So looking at a net gain of around 9 positions at the moment, they can see where they are. But I think he should be able to hold on to somewhere in the top 10, potentially, depending on how bad the next 20 laps are.
Half a second off of the guys right behind him. A little bit less off for the guys behind that, but I could see him. I mean, 25 laps still not that short of. I mean, we've still got some laps left, so he could conceivably fall back to 10th, 11th, and that would be still a slight gain, but who knows how it would have gone the other way around. If he would have gotten trapped a lap down or whatnot, I don't know. But not going to win you the race, but it might just slightly improve your position. That's all you can hope for.
Wineland on the back of Danny Ware inside right now.
I think Chris isn't going to put up. You know what I like about Chris is he's not putting up a fight here. He knows he's going to lose this spot. He's not going to make everyone's lives miserable while they go by. He's just going to say, all right, guys, strategy's played. I'm playing it. You guys can go through.
Have fun.
Yep.
Enjoy yourselves.
Just
going to ride my own race.
Back in on the cooldown lap. The Weishart leads. Scioli is beginning to nip at the heels of Weishart. Was 700s faster last time. That time was a 10th quicker. Maybe Scioli's got something left in the tank here to go get that 33.
Yeah, I was going to say they got a little bit separated out when they got back out on the track. This gap now they currently have is more similar to when they initially came off pit lane. So he's doing a little bit better. He's going to need to do a little bit more. What that is, I have absolutely no idea, but he's running out of time with just about 20 laps left to go in this race. He's going to have to come up with something, either that or hope for a yellow to kind of get the 33 back in his clutches.
Well, if I was a betting man, the way that we've had this season go, I would be betting for a late race yellow, but we'll see how it pans out. anywhere, and Wineland's still fighting and scraping here.
I mean, Wineland's starting to kind of fall off now, is struggling to get around the double zero. We're putting up a fight here in these closing stages.
Yeah, tire-wise, they've equalized out with the leaders now. They're not really any faster than them. So I think Wineland's progress, as you mentioned, stalling. It's going to stall here in 7th. Officially 20 laps to go this time by. About 10 minutes worth of racing remaining, and David Weishart leads James Scioli by 0.6 of a second. Weishart gained a little bit back here. So Scioli is hitting a wall, proverbial one. About half a second back.
I'm just trying to check ahead of Weishart. You know, if these guys are approaching any traffic, you know, long strings of cars that can try to slow him up. No, he's really got nothing, a lot of clean racetrack on the head of the 33, so 7's really got nothing else to do but just kind of trying to run it down on raw pace.
10th gain for Scioli this time, and it's just kind of ebbing and flowing, but without consistent progress. The volatility of that pass, I think, is not quite as high as maybe this one. Cody Cutrer on the outside, Tommy Ryan on the inside. This 25 has faded over the course of this race. Was up in the battling competitively for the lead in the first 20, 30 laps, and now that long green flag run has just fallen down to 12th.
Yeah, I think that we were kind of expecting something like that. You know, when, as we got long green flag runs in the later part of this race, we're really starting to see the guys that typically run better on the longer runs doing better than the guys that run on the shorter runs, which is who we saw near the front at the beginning of the race.
Here's James Coe. Started dead last tonight. He's a lap down, but not a scratch on this truck, and 26th. So you look at the end of a day, it's not a top 5, it's not a top 10, but a pretty big gain in positions, 15 spots plus. Not a terrible day, all things considered. I think any race that you can start worse than you finish is a good day, assuming that you're not always starting last. Set your bar is achievable, but then you can get there. We've seen Coe run better, but tonight just didn't get a chance to qualify. Started out pretty deep, has recovered pretty nicely. 16 laps to go, and Scioli still nipping away, down to under half a second for the first time in a while.
Yeah, getting closer and closer here as the laps are winding down. I think he's might have found a little bit of second wind. He's closing back in. So can you argue maybe too little too late with 15 laps to go? Is it enough time to catch back up?
It's enough time to get there. It's just, I don't think that Scioli is faster enough to facilitate a pass tonight with these trucks at this track. You have to be faster by enough to really be able to get that pass done. What's going to happen, I think, is Scioli's going to get here and then get trapped. Just not because of aero wash or anything in particular. You just run out of enough differential that when you have to start putting yourself offline, you're not going to find enough advantage to complete that pass when Weishart's running where he wants to run. But if you can get Weishart to make a mistake or miss a corner, miss a line, then you got your shot and you got to take it. But Scioli is coming. We're down to 14 to go, but he is coming. He is going to get there.
Yeah, it's the gap is just about 0.4 of a second, just about to go underneath it now. And it's getting closer and closer. I'm curious to see now Weishart's going to get a little bit more nervous up in the front, knowing the 7's starting to close in with a decent amount of pace.
So little correction there from Scioli, walking the rear tires up the racetrack. Now, one thing Scioli cannot do is get back on throttle too soon while trying to chase David. Whatever he's doing right now is working, but if you get a little bit too greedy and you throttle up just even 10 feet before you were previously and you wash up the hill, you're going to kill all that progress. But that time through, another pretty sizable gain. Well, I lied. Can't read numbers. 7 thousandths of a loss. So if you can gain a 10th here, gain a 10th there, and lose only thousandths when you have a bad lap, you're in good shape. But James still got some work left on the table.
And is running out of laps. And yeah, as you mentioned, you just get on the gas, you lose the momentum. Big thing also, too, now is that the tires are worn out. You start to see these guys are stepping in the trucks out a little bit more. You want to make sure you don't wreck yourself as well, trying to push too hard.
You don't want to pack the fence. This best battle on the racetrack at the moment. 3.5 tenths of a second and 12 laps to go. What does Weishart do differently now? I mean, he's kind of doing what he's doing, but is it going to work forever?
I mean, it's working at the moment. I feel like, there's not really much else he can do. I think at this point he's been looking in his mirror more and more with that 7 truck approaching. I think he's going to just kind of have to hope that when the 7 catches back up, or he kind of runs out of steam. Pushing, because that 7 right now is pushing hard trying to catch the 33.
Yeah, it did lose some ground that time, though, so pushing perhaps a little too hard. That's the danger. You get close, you can taste it. You start taking bigger bites. Seidenfeld dropping to 10th place. Tommy Ryan's in the mirror. He'll be 11th. And he's got a whole host of drivers behind him that can take spots away. So Seidenfeld wants this thing over quick. So does Weishart.
He would love. I was going to say, oh no! Scioli in the wall hard off of turn 4. And there goes any chance he had of winning this race.
Yeah, that's what I talked about. Just getting the throttle a little bit too soon. And it's all gone. And he didn't unwind the wheel. He didn't. He didn't want to. Didn't realize the mistake, or thought he would drive out of it. But
I think he thought he was good, and then last second you're kind of going to say that, and you realize you're going to hit the wall. And unfortunately, at that point, not really a whole lot left you can do.
Yeah, he pancaked that really hard, and that's going to damage the truck. So volatility for the top battle is over. Near Seidenfeld now. He's trying to keep the head above water for 9 more laps.
It's going to be tough to see if he can try to hold this off, hold on to that top 10. He's got Tommy Ryan closing in fairly quickly by comparison.
His tires, again, they're all kind of reaching the same kind of mediocre medium, right? They're all getting to like 32.5s, 32.6s, so he's not as slow as you would expect based on how many more laps he's got on his tires. They have kind of equalized out. He still is slower, but only by hundreds, not by tenths, and that could save him here. Now 8 to go.
Yeah, still looking at Tommy Ryan closing in 7/10 now. At the rate he's catching him now, might not be there in time. If anything, might catch him on the white flag lap, so have to keep an eye and see. But overall, not too bad of a call for the 45. Got him a lot of track position. He's been able to somewhat hold on here in these closing laps.
Yeah, doing a good job. And managing the tires well, whatever he does have left. But now Scioli, I don't think he's quite in danger of getting past for second, but he is off about 2.5, 3/10 of a second from what he was running, and Hartz is only 1.5 back. So that's the next fight we'll have to keep our eyes on. As well as Cody Cutler, he has dropped even further. He might not even finish top 15 if Anna Sogak and Munsell can get on by, and that would be a shame based on how high up Cutler was at the start of this race and how well he ran for the halfway point.
Yeah, him and Paul Urban both really surprised to see how much they've kind of fallen off this cliff in performance during this race, with Cutter running 14 and Urban all the way back to 20th now. I don't think he'll fall further than that. The number 48, Shane Abbey's a little bit further behind, about 2.7 seconds in behind the 48. So Urban should settle for 20th, but considering he started, you can see right there on the graphic, started in 3rd and was running in the top 5 for quite a while. This is going to be very disappointing.
Yeah, just not a lot of speed. Had short run. Well, you see some damage on the right side of the truck. That's not helping. Actually looking in on it more, we might know more to the story. Pancaked that wall pretty hard. We see how much it's slowing Scioli down. And Scioli, by the way, is within a second of being passed by Hart. So this is not over yet for second place.
Yeah, and Scioli's kind of hoping and praying that checkered flag comes sooner, so he doesn't lose one more spot with that mistake after he hit the wall. Hart's trying to use everything he can now because he's got one more position he can gain.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't run into the same problem. He's got Rafe Slate only about a second behind him. 8/10 from Hartz to Scioli, 4 laps to go. And he's gaining 3/10 a lap. So, yeah, he's going to get there. Same thing I said about Scioli getting to Weishart, though. We saw how that turned out.
Yeah, I was say Hartz has to make sure he doesn't make a mistake now in these closing laps. Throw away an opportunity, and he's got Rafe Slate not too terribly far in behind him.
Any world in which we get a late race yellow. Look at 99 and 46. Ryan and Grant and Seidenfeld kind of packing up around each other here.
And you're going to see how aggressive Chris is going to be here in these closing stages. 3 laps to go as they come across the line. Ryan now working to the outside. Garrett Grant going to try to follow him on through as well.
There's not a lot of grip left for 45 aside and fighting, but he's going to have to hang on tough here. He can't lose any more than this because Stenacek is a little too far back, so it's going to be 12th or 11th if he can beat this battle with Garrett Grant. Here's Scioli and Hartz. 2 laps to go for the leader of Weishart. There's the differential from first to second, and then second to third.
Yeah, the rate Hart's catching him, he should catch him, really in 3 and 4 the last lap, so next time by.
David Weishart, though, white flag one more time around Charlotte Motor Speedway. Scioli and Hartz, battle is on for second place.
Curious to see what Hartz is going to do. I imagine he's going to try to use 1 and 2, set up a solid run heading towards turns 3 and 4.
Scioli struggling out of turn 2. Down the back straightaway, will he throw the block here? Hartz to the inside. Will drive up even, they crash!
Oh!
Scioli gets door slammed into turn 3. Hartz goes through. Third win on the season for David Weishart. A dramatic fight and a crash at the start-finish line for others. Weishart slams the brakes, navigates the traffic. Hartz and Slate almost, he did beat Scioli to the line by a 10th.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't even realize he had a chance to even get past Scioli. That's fantastic. You managed to just sneak in there across the line the last couple 100 feet. There's also, I think, a wreck on the last lap coming just to it.
But here's the look at the entrance turn. What happened here? I think they just miscalculate here. I'm sure this wasn't intentional. He just didn't really leave Scioli a lot of room.
Looked like neck to it. It was a pretty aggressive hit.
Yeah, didn't really turn in early enough for Scioli.
Yeah, no.
And here's Shane Abbey and Bourne getting together out of 4, coming to the white. They crash right at the end there. So we got some drama right at the tail end, but not in time to get a green-white checkered. But David Weishart picks up a 3rd win on the season and solidifies himself as the winningest driver in the Area Truck Series in 2022 so far.
Yeah, and well-earned victory there. Just outdrove all the rest of his competition, forced the rest of his competition to make mistakes and just drive away from him.
Doing the burnout, celebrating here. Let's have a look at the race results. Weishart, Hartz, and then Slate snuck in there right at the end and grabbed 3rd by a 10th of a second over Scioli, who finishes 4th, and Brad Slaughter Jr. 5.
Yeah, then rest of the top 10, Danny Ware in 6th. Didn't really talk a whole lot about the double zero. He's performed very well at the end there. Eric Weiland dropping back to 7th. Beckner 8th. Ryan Swan in 9th. And Garrett Grant in the top 10.
There's your top 10 runners, 11 through 20. Tommy Ryan, Chris Seidenfeld, 12th place. I don't think that strategy was all that bad. But Cody Cutrer fell off the face of the planet there towards the end, and so did Paul Irvin.
Yeah, then rest of those guys, Montalana, Sogak, Martin, Taylor, Wilson, and Irvin. And then going on to the next page, your top, the guys outside the top 20.
Sorry, typing. There we go.
Christopher Tate, Abby Bourne, Coey Holman, Leif Hicks, Tinch Coop, and pretty much after Carter Coop, you see a lot of the drivers who effectively got wrecked out of this race. Coop, Fambro, Ryan, and then the last page of drivers, more or less. Roderick Bell and everyone else have retired. Jordan Hurley, a lot of big names on on this particular page as well, guys who retired out, and especially Cameron Hearn, who's on the next page. Are you actually not even going to show him? Damn.
Nope. Yeah, tough night for Cameron Hearn for a variety of reasons.
41st.
Yeah,
dead last.
41st. Well, headed the whole page to himself. James Scioli came home in 4th place tonight. Man, frustrating final lap there. I'm sure, James. We're setting up for 2nd. Had a run at the win there, but got in the wall, damaged the truck. Lost the spot to Ryan Hartz, but a little more sparks flying there on that final lap than I think we were all expecting to see.
Yeah, definitely a little crazy there at the end for somebody to get a 4th place interview. So just hate that it had to be me. I don't know. It kind of seemed like Hartz just tracked me out a little bit further than I was expecting, and we just kind of came together. I was expecting him to turn in for the corner just a little bit earlier, and we were going to race it out to the line, but he just kind of tracked me out a little bit more than I was expecting, and we tangled, and I missed out on the podium. Had a shot at David there, but I think I was saving the right front so good that I was kind of burning off the right rear, and that's how I wanted it to drive, and it just got a little bit too much and got a little too loose and caught the wall, and then it did not drive the same after that, just really bogged down at the end. So definitely sucks that I got into the wall. I mean, that's the only reason Hearts caught me. It should have been easy 1 and 2 for me and David. So sucks for that. But glad David got the win. David Weishart Racing teammate, so can't be too mad about that. But definitely a little bummed about the contact and finishing 4th rather than 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah, it felt like we had to talk to you because being 3rd going into turn 3, it felt like it was necessary to get the story. Because that's where we were all night. James, I know a frustrating end there, but hey, top 5, not a terrible night, all things considered. Enjoy your week off, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks, guys, and thanks to everybody in the race there. We were finally able to get some green flag racing, and that made it really fun, and it was a pretty fun setup to drive, so big shout out to everybody for keeping it clean there that last 100 laps or so, and then big shout out to Butt Kicker, Chris Sports Cards, Standles Candles, and Matco Tools for being on the truck, Elwood Designs for the paint schemes, you guys in the booth, and all the admins for all the work. I really appreciate it, so we'll talk to you guys in a couple weeks.
All right, appreciate it, James. We'll see you in 2023.
Yep, thanks, guys.
On to the next driver, Rafe Slate snuck out a 3rd place finish right there at the very tail end by a 10th over James Scully. Rafe, congratulations. Wow, I don't even know if you were expecting that, but a strong run, started 17th, worked your way through the field tonight, and then tangling 2nd and 3rd place drivers gave you a shot at 3rd. Take us through it.
Yeah, I was in there with Ryan talking to him, and I really did not expect that to happen, especially between those two guys. But yeah, I mean, finally nice to be up here and get an interview. But it's been a little while coming between the Cup Series and this, running part-time, but kind of wish I would have committed full-time now.
Yeah, I mean, it works out. You got yourself a really solid run tonight. Seemed like it was tricky to pass, though. I mean, multi-groove racing, this track is known for it here in iRacing. We didn't see it a lot Monday, a little bit. We didn't see it much tonight either. Bottom feeding race for the most part?
For the most part, but if you, like on newer tires, if you really needed to get up and go, you just roll the top on somebody. Me and the 8 car did it the first 2 runs and came out of it pretty well.
I'll say it's going to be your best finish of the season over your 5th at Atlanta and your 8th at Sonoma. Kind of been a hit or miss season, Rafe, in the truck series, but getting one spot closer to a victory. So we'll see you next time, and best of luck.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on now to our 2nd place finisher, Ryan Hartz. Came into the night 2nd in the standings, comes out of the night 2nd in the race. 3 seconds back, was battling there with James Scully right there at the end after he damaged his truck, a little bit of contact, but everyone came out the other side, at least still in the top 5. Ryan, take us through your night and that run up towards the front.
Yeah, me and James just talked about it. We kind of agreed that it was a little bit of net code. He didn't expect me to turn as much as I did. I personally think I should have turned more and given him more room. But there was definitely some net code there, but I will take the blame for that, so I apologize. I don't like racing him like that. But other than that, you know, I did really bad in qualifying. I really choked it and started like P21 and just slowly made my way to the front. And, you know, all I needed was green flag laps because I say my tire's pretty good in like the first long green flag run. And then I was just way too loose on the last run to do anything with David. I'm surprised I even caught James. So, yeah, overall, good night. I can't really complain.
Yeah, pretty good, solid night, Ryan. 2nd place. Be a good points night for you, so congratulations on bringing that Rick's Hot Sauce car up into the mix, and we'll see you next time after a week break.
Yeah, man, I hope you guys have a good Christmas and a Happy New Year's also. And thanks to Rick's Hot Sauce for coming on board. Thanks to Jacob Bell Racing. We've been having these good runs. Another top 5. Just the way I look at it, compared to last season, it's just another one that got away. So we'll be ready for Loudon, and we'll be ready for 2023.
All right, Ryan, happy holidays as you as well, as we'll see you in 2020.
Thanks, guys.
David Weishart brings home his 3rd victory on the season. Beat out Ryan Hart, Scully, Slate, and others in this one, David. Early in the race, the 9 was in the mix, the 25 was in the mix, you were in the mix, but tonight, after 120 laps, you led 46, so a pretty high lap-led night. A lot of green flag running there in the second half of the night. You bring it home. Take us through your battle there with James Scully as he was tracking you down in the closing laps.
Well, before I get into that, I do need to issue an apology to Alan Elwood and Jacob Bell. I made a comment earlier in the race. I shouldn't escalated situation, so I shouldn't have done that. So I apologize to them. But yeah, as far as the race goes, we had a lot of wrecks early. Had a good qualifying run. You know, the opposite of last night. I qualified mid-pack, but Yeah, it was a challenge saving the right front on these cars. You had to, or you just drifted up. It got real tight off the exit. But if you saved the right front too much, it got loose on the exit. So it was a balancing act. I just needed clean air. I battled Matthew Bell there, ran behind him for a good portion of that green flag run, and I burned the right front off of it. It was like 64% or something. It was awful. But once I got clean air after the, and I'm not 100% sure what happened to Matthew Bell. It sucks. That sucks for him. I didn't want to see that. It was going to be a fun battle between me, him, and James. But yeah, once I got the clean air, I was able to save the right front and the right rear a little bit. It started to get a little loose there with about 15 to go. But yeah, it felt pretty good. Feels pretty good to walk out here with a W.
And not a bad night, taking home a victory, third win on the season. Highest W column of anybody so far this season, David. So congratulations, enjoy it, and we'll see you at New Hampshire in 2023. Best of luck.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Wrapping things up here, Finian, from Charlotte. We got one more of these races here this week, and of course the charity race benefiting the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention on Friday. But one more race at Charlotte's the Launch Box Series on Thursday. Seen some good stuff here last night, and then some other decent racing tonight, but kind of a tale of two races. Bunch of yellows at the start, and then cleaned it up for a good clean run to the end.
Yeah, absolutely, and gotta like to see that those nice runs. Really get to see the talent these guys have of just being able to carry the car over the long run. Some comers and goers in the later part of the race. You usually see them in the earlier part, but the later part of the race really got to see cream of the crop rising to the top. And in this case, it was David Weishart.
Weishart wins, third win on the season. We'll see you on Thursday for the Area Launch Box Series on SimTV tomorrow. Washington, D.C. Region SCCA Virtual Racing League, their non-points finale, Long Beach GT4s tomorrow night, 8:15 Eastern. We'll see you there. Fans, be sure to check out AreaIRacing.shop for merchandise to represent your favorite driver. Shop from our selection of t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, stickers, and more. Use code SWAN for 10% off your order at checkout.